Welcome back to Mr. Bresciani's math class. Today we're going to look at 6.3 multiplying proper fractions. So our student outcome for today is that I can multiply two proper fractions. So pretty simple. By the end of this lesson, you want to be able to say to yourself, I can multiply two proper fractions. Now just a kind of a recap of what a proper fraction is, it is when the denominator is greater than the numerator. So we're looking here, remember the denominator is the bottom number. So when the denominator is bigger than the numerator, which is the top number. So here, 3 is bigger than 2, so we've got a proper fraction. And the next one, 8 is bigger than 5, so it's a proper fraction. 13 is bigger than 6, so a proper fraction. So let's move on to how to actually multiply these guys. So I'm going to show you two methods today. Method 1, there's only two steps. Step 1 in this method is multiply across. Multiply the numerators together and multiply the denominators together. So what I mean by that is simply multiplying straight across. So 1 times 4 equals 4. 2 times 5 equals 10. So you can see here we multiplied our numerators and our denominators. We got an answer of 4 over 10. Then step 2 says convert to lowest terms. So 4 over 10, well, we can divide them both by 2, and we get an answer of 2 over 5, which is our final answer. And that's it for method 1. And now we're going to try an example using method 1. So for our first example here, we've got the question 2 over 3 multiplied by 2 over 3. So if you'd like to pause it now and try it yourself, you can, and then just unpause it when you're ready to watch the solution. So when we're looking at this question, step 1 says to multiply straight across, which means that the numerator is going to times by the numerator, which is the top number. So in this case, we've got 2 multiplied by 2, which equals 4. And the bottom we have 3 multiplied by 3, which equals 9. Step 2 in method 1 just says lowest terms. So when we look at this, we know it's lowest terms because it can't go any lower. So there you have it. We've got our answer for our first example. Now we're going to look at method 2. Now this one's a little bit different method, and again, you're going to pick the method that works best for you. This method is more of a visual method. It involves more drawing. So if this works for you, great, and if not, you know what? Go back to method 1 and use that for multiplying proper fractions. So step 1 of method 2 says, draw a diagram to represent your first fraction. So in this case, our first fraction is 1 over 2. So we're going to draw a diagram that shows 1 over 2. And here we go. We've got our diagram. If you look here, there's 2 spaces, and in this case, there is one filled in and the other one not. So that shows 1 over 2. Step 2 says, draw a diagram for your second fraction, which is 4 over 5, using the side of your first diagram. Now I know that sounds kind of wordy, but let's just show what I mean. So to replicate it here, we had our first diagram was 1 over 2, just like that. Now it says, draw a diagram for your second fraction to the side of your first diagram. So if we look at the side here, we're going to make this 4 out of 5. So if I draw 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, now when you look at it, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 openings, and I'm going to shade those in. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So now it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 out of a possible 5 shaded in. I know again it looks confusing, but just follow along with me. Now step 3 says count the shaded areas that overlap and write as the numerator. Well, when we look at this, the shaded areas that overlap are right here, because you've got the black and pink overlapping 1. We've got 2, 3, and 4. So it says count the shaded areas that overlap and write your numerator. Well, that means that our numerator is going to be 4 over something. And that's where we look at step 4. It says count the total spaces and write as denominator. Well, total spaces here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the total number of spaces we have, which means in here it says write as denominator. So our final answer is going to be then 4 over 10. Which, as we already know, we need to make it into lowest terms. We get 2 over 5, just like our first method. So now we're going to try another example using method 2. So if you want to pause here, you can and give that a shot. And then unpause when you're ready to go. So according to method 2, the first step we need to do is take a look at our first fraction and draw a diagram for it. So let's draw a diagram for 1 over 4. Well, a diagram for 1 over 4 would be something like this. In this case, we've got 4 possible slots and 1 is filled out, so there's 1 out of 4 shaded. Then it says we need to draw another diagram for our second fraction using the side of our first diagram. Well, all we need to do for that is just split it into 2, because now you've got 1 and 2 sides, and shade 1 because it's 1 out of 2. So if we shade it in, now you can see we've got 1 out of 2 shaded in. Step 3 then says, count your overlapping squares. And in this case, our overlapping squares are... Oops, sorry about that. Yes, as Wiz Khalifa said, they are black and yellow here. So our only overlapping square is just this one. So that means our numerator is going to be 1 over, now we don't know yet, because step 4 says count all your squares and write as denominator. So in this case, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got it as 1 over 8. And that is our final answer. So let's go on to one last example. Our final example here is 5 over 6 multiplied by 4 over 5. Now you can use either method to work on this one. I don't care. You pick. I'm personally going to use method 1 for it, but that's okay. So if you want to, you can pause it right now, and then you can unpause it when you're ready to go. So as promised, we're going to solve this question using method 1. Now method 1 has 2 steps again. Step 1 just says multiply across, or multiply your numerators and denominators. So in this case, we've got 5 times 4, which gives us 20, and it's over 6 times 5, which is 30. So we've got 20 over 30, and step 2 in method 1 says lowest terms. So in this case, we can divide them both by 10, and that is going to give us an answer of 2 over 3. And that's it. So thank you for watching, and tune in for the next video coming up.